Nvidia has added $2 trillion to its market cap in the last 18 months, increasing it from $280 billion in late 2022 to $2.36 trillion in April 2024. That is trillion with a T.
So this is now the $2 trillion club. 12 zeros means Nvidia's market cap is more than the individual GDPs of Russia, Mexico, Australia. Nvidia is the only AI chip game in town.
Nvidia's latest earnings report, it crushed analysts' already sky-high expectations for the AI darling.
The company reported its earnings in the fourth quarter. It was over $22 billion, which is 22% higher than the last quarter. When you compare it to last year, revenue is up by 265%.
We are represented by $100 trillion of industry here. Healthcare is here, financial services are here, manufacturing, industrial, automotive, climate tech.
Microsoft, OpenAI, Amazon, Meta, Google, all of them have deals with Nvidia. They're buying chips in bulk. Why? Because it's the only player offering what they want.
Apple and Microsoft, the only two other companies with a valuation above $2 trillion, took over 2 years each to reach from $1 to $2 trillion. But Nvidia took just about 6 months to breach the mark. And this explosion in market value is not just speculation. It is backed by an equally explosive growth in their revenue and profits. Nvidia reported that revenue in its fourth quarter, ending in January 2024, more than tripled from a year earlier to $22.1 billion, while profits soared nearly 9 times to over $12.3 billion. This type of growth in a trillion-dollar company has never been seen before. The sudden increase in the popularity of Nvidia has come on the back of the recent AI boom, as it is proving to be the ultimate winner in the AI race. Irrespective of who wins the current AI war, whether it is OpenAI, Google, Amazon or Elon Musk, Nvidia is going to be the final beneficiary, as it controls 88% of the GPUs in the world that all these AI companies need. So the question is, how did Nvidia come out of nowhere and become an overnight success? How has it managed to establish an absolute monopoly when it comes to GPU chips? And why is Nvidia going to be the ultimate winner of this AI war between these giants? Well, to find out the answers, let's understand what this AI boom is all about. AI, or artificial intelligence, is basically an effort to make computers capable of performing complex tasks that historically only a human could do. And this is how creating an AI model like ChatGPT or Gemini works. It consists of two parts: training and inference. First, the computer is fed an extremely large amount of existing data. OpenAI, for example, has reportedly trained its GPT-4 model on over 1 trillion parameters. Then comes the next part, which is inference, where based on what it has learned, the model is now asked to make predictions or answer questions. So basically, the way that it is currently being done is by training computers on vast amounts of data, making them learn from that data, and then asking them to predict responses to questions based on what it has learned. Both of these stages, the training as well as inference, needs the computer to do a seemingly infinite number of incredibly complex mathematical calculations. And this is where GPUs like the ones made by Nvidia come in, short for graphics processing units. GPUs are incredibly powerful chips that can do multiple complex mathematical calculations at lightning fast speeds. So any artificial intelligence model needs an insanely large number of these GPUs to build and then use their AI product. OpenAI, for example, used 10,000 Nvidia A100 GPUs to train its GPT-4 model. But such a powerful chip does not come cheap. The Nvidia A100 GPUs that OpenAI used for ChatGPT-4 cost about $10,000 each. That is over 8 lakh rupees for a single GPU, and OpenAI deployed 10,000 of those. But that was just the beginning. Nvidia then launched the H100 GPU, the next generation successor of the A100 GPUs used by ChatGPT-4. The H100 is supposed to be multiple times faster and more efficient at doing these AI calculations, and each of these A100 GPUs are sold at around $30,000 each. And the demand for these GPUs is now increasing exponentially. Meta is planning to purchase over 350,000 of these Nvidia H100 GPUs worth over $9 billion in the near future. And Meta is just one company. There are other big and small companies in the race, including OpenAI, Google, Amazon, and even Apple. So it is estimated that Nvidia will sell 2 million of these H100s alone by the end of 2024, generating a revenue well above $50 billion. If you made it this far, please subscribe to my channel. I promise my content will add value for you. Moving on. Now at this point, you might be wondering, if the demand is so huge, aren't there any competitors of Nvidia? Well, while there are other companies like AMD that also manufacture similar GPUs, Nvidia is leaps and bounds ahead of its competition. It controls 88% of all GPUs in the world. So what is Nvidia doing so differently that other competitors are not even able to come close to it? Well, to find the answer to that question, we need to understand how Nvidia came to the place where it is today. Nvidia was actually started by Jensen Huang way back in 1993, who, believe it or not, previously worked as a microprocessor designer at AMD, Nvidia's second biggest competitor today, with a mere 8% market share in GPUs. He started Nvidia with two of his friends in an attempt to solve a new problem that was evolving in the computer market. Back in 1993, computers used to run on central chips called central processing units or CPUs. CPUs used to be great at performing normal computer tasks like running Windows or creating spreadsheets in Microsoft Excel. But complex tasks like graphic processing needed a chip to process multiple complex calculations at the same time. And CPUs were not good at this. So in 1993, Jensen Huang started Nvidia with an aim to create chips dedicated to graphics processing, called GPUs or graphics processing units. Think of CPU as being one giant soldier who is very skilled but can only shoot one bullet at a time, versus a GPU where you have thousands of small soldiers who can shoot thousands of bullets at the same time. Initially, they introduced a few alternatives to the CPU which brought the company to the brink of bankruptcy, such as the failed NV1 chip. But they persisted and survived, went public in 1999, and in the same year introduced the first GPU to the world, the Nvidia GeForce 256. This GPU was leaps and bounds ahead of the competition in terms of graphics processing, and that included gaming. This resulted in Nvidia winning the exclusive contract to develop the GPUs for Microsoft's Xbox gaming consoles in 2000, and then Sony's PlayStation 3 console in 2004. So by 2006, Nvidia GPUs had already cemented their place as the gold standard in gaming, whether it was PC, Xbox or PlayStation. But then, something weird happened. So far, Nvidia's sole focus was enhancing its hardware for using graphics processing and gaming, and it was doing an excellent job in that area. But in 2006, researchers at Stanford University discovered GPUs had another use. They could accelerate complex mathematical calculations in a way that regular processing chips could not. And these researchers were not alone. Several others around the world who tinkered with the GPUs realized that the same ability by which a GPU is able to do graphics rendering can also make it equally capable of doing other tasks like mathematical calculations and deep learning. In other words, software engineers and developers started coming to Nvidia and told them that this powerful chip that you have on your hands can do a lot more than what you are using them for right now. Now, I did a lot of research for this video, and if there is one decision that made Nvidia the $2 trillion monopoly that it is today, it was this: Nvidia listened to those people. Jensen Huang quickly realized the potency and power of the weapon on his hands, and he made the decision to utilize it to its full capability. Most people think of Nvidia as a hardware company that just builds these GPUs and chips, but at its heart, Nvidia is actually a software company. I will explain how. By 2006, it was already well known that GPUs could be used not just for gaming, but for other complex tasks as well. But there was a problem. The process of using it for anything other than graphics processing was very difficult. To avoid getting into the technical details, think of it like this. At that time, using Nvidia GPUs for graphics processing was very easy because it had a dedicated graphics programming language. But using it for anything other than graphics required an in-depth knowledge of those graphics programming tools. So if you had to use them for any other purpose, like creating an AI model, you first had to learn and become an expert in graphics programming. It's like GPUs only understood Sanskrit, but all the coders wrote in English, So if a coder had to use a GPU, he had to first learn Sanskrit. And this was a significant barrier for those looking to leverage GPU capabilities for other tasks. So Nvidia decided to tackle this problem head on. And in 2006, they released a software named Compute Unified Device Architecture, or CUDA. CUDA removed the sole hurdle that was stopping coders from using GPUs for other uses. It allowed software developers to use a CUDA-enabled Nvidia GPU with existing programming languages that they already knew, like C and C++. So now, you did not need to learn graphics programming for these tasks. It was as if Nvidia had suddenly taught its GPUs how to understand English. So the need for coders to learn Sanskrit was eliminated. And this was the absolute game changer. CUDA has been the single biggest factor in the advancements that we have seen across multiple domains, like scientific computing, medical imaging, financial modeling, data science, computational biology, and obviously artificial intelligence. But Nvidia was not doing charity. CUDA only worked on Nvidia GPUs. So all of the developers in all of these fields started relying exclusively on Nvidia. Now you might be thinking, what's the big deal? Competitors like AMD would have realized this issue and introduced their own CUDA-like software as well, right? Well, not really. You see, this is precisely why I have tremendous respect for Jensen Huang as a true visionary. Recall that the primary purpose of these GPUs was just graphics processing and gaming. And Nvidia and AMD together were already the market leaders in this space all through 2000 and 2010s. But it was only Jensen Huang who realized what the true potential of these GPUs was going to be 5, 10 or 20 years from 2006. If you look at the historical revenue data for Nvidia, you will realize that while data centers, a segment that includes usages such as artificial intelligence, has become a major revenue source of over 75% for Nvidia since last year only. Gaming was the segment that generated the maximum revenue for Nvidia as late as 2022. And same was the case for AMD as well. But the visionary move of focusing on software and supporting a community of coders and developers for 17 years without any proportionate revenue or returns from that segment is what is setting Nvidia apart right now. And this is precisely why Nvidia is so ahead of its competition right now. The software community people have been using CUDA for 17 years now, and they have built all of their code around it. As of today, more than 4 million global developers rely on Nvidia's CUDA software platform to build AI and other applications. To give you an example of use cases of their GPUs other than AI, Nvidia says its hardware, software and services can cut early stage pharmaceutical drug discovery from months to weeks. AMD on the other hand did realize what was happening, and they also released their CUDA-like software called ROCm. But they were almost 10 years late in having this realization. ROCm came out in 2015 and it has struggled to displace CUDA's popularity ever since. So the most significant moat or market barrier that Nvidia has created is CUDA, and it is getting exponentially stronger. With the recent explosion in the popularity of Nvidia, it is going to become even harder for people to switch to any other chip, because all the software will be built to run only on CUDA-enabled Nvidia hardware. Now, after listening to me yap about Nvidia for nearly 10 minutes with all this technical jargon, I want to make sure that you do not miss out on the crux of their success. The reason for their success is the same as how any other successful company has built their business, be it Amazon or Apple or Facebook. They deliver what's best for their customers. The reason why Amazon is the biggest e-commerce store in the world is because they are obsessed with their customers. Customer satisfaction is their North Star, driving all of their actions and goals, whether it's improving their delivery speed or enhancing the shopping experience. Nvidia also basically did the same thing. They were obsessed with their users and customers. When their numbers and revenues were screaming at them to stick to gaming, Jensen Huang instead listened to the problems that actual on-ground developers using their GPUs were facing, and he simply fixed those problems. In fact, Elon Musk requested Huang to create the first supercomputer for OpenAI back in 2012, when Musk was still a part of OpenAI. Huang agreed, and it took him 5 years to perfect that single supercomputer. And when it was ready, Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia, which was already a multi-billion-dollar company by then, hand-delivered that supercomputer to Elon Musk in person. That was the level of dedication and obsession that he had for his customers. So Nvidia has been continuously upgrading its hardware as well as software, which is now seeing their use in multiple areas other than AI, as I already mentioned earlier. The A100 chips were replaced by more powerful H100 chips last year, and earlier this year, Nvidia unveiled the ultra-powerful Blackwell series of chips. They are so much more efficient and powerful that they are going to reduce energy and consumption by up to 25 times. So you can imagine what the demand and price of these Blackwell chips is going to be. Nvidia is still very much the same company outside of the data center segment. But the data center is where the real growth is happening. Data center means sales of GPUs specialized for AI, DNA processing, and other similar complex use cases excluding gaming. The data center revenue has gone up by 4 times in just the past 12 months and now accounts for over 75% of their revenue. AMD and even other prominent companies like Google are actively trying to compete against Nvidia, trying to make dedicated chips for AI on their own. But the adoption of Nvidia's CUDA software and their far superior hardware means that they are way ahead of the curve. Most companies already know that there is going to be no alternative for Nvidia that will allow them to do what they are doing right now. Nvidia is reporting a 56% net profit margin after taxes on billions of dollars of sales. So you can expect Nvidia's sales as well as its stock price to continue to explode in the next few months. Let me know in the comments what you think of Nvidia's dominance in the AI game. Subscribe here and follow me on LinkedIn and Instagram. The link is in the description below. Until I see you in the next video, goodbye.